The space around Earth's moon suddenly filled with light. Hundreds of alien ships appeared from nowhere, their crystal hulls shining like diamonds against the black sky. Each ship was bigger than any building on Earth. The largest one was so huge it could swallow entire cities. Admiral Kexthara stood on the bridge of his flagship. The alien looked nothing like a human. His skin was blue and covered with small scales. Forearms moved as he checked the control panels. His yellow eyes studied the small blue planet below. "Report," he said to his crew. His voice sounded like metal scraping against stone. "The third planet shows signs of primitive life, Admiral," said his science officer. "They have basic fusion power and simple rockets. Nothing that can threaten us." Kexthara nodded. This was the same story he had heard 1,000 times before. For 3,000 years, his people had conquered world after world. Galaxy after galaxy fell before their mighty fleet. The humans would be no different. On Earth, President Kate Martinez sat in the emergency meeting room deep under the White House. The room was full of the most important people in the world. Scientists, generals, and world leaders all stared at the big screen showing the alien fleet. "How many ships?" Kate asked. General Ryan Cooper looked at his papers. "Our best count is 1,200 ships. The biggest one is 50 miles long." Dr. Alex Turner, a thin man with thick glasses, raised his hand. "I've been studying their energy readings. Each ship has more firepower than all of Earth's nuclear weapons combined." The room went quiet. Everyone knew what this meant. Earthhead. No chance against such power. "What do they want?" asked Kate. "We don't know yet," said General Cooper. "But based on what we've seen from other worlds, they usually give a surrender demand first." As if hearing his words, every screen on Earth suddenly showed the same image. Admiral Kexthara appeared, his alien face filling the screens. When he spoke, his words came out in perfect English. "People of Earth," he began, "I am Admiral Kexthara of the Zephyrian Empire. Your world now belongs to us. You have 72 hours to surrender completely. All governments must give up power. All military forces must stand down. If you refuse, we will destroy every city on your planet." The message ended. Around the world, people stared at their screens in shock and fear. Back in the emergency room, Kate looked around the table. "Options? We have 12 ships in our defense fleet," said Admiral Lisa Hayes. She was a tough woman who had commanded Earth's space forces for 10 years. "They're good ships, but nothing compared to what's up there." Captain Jake Sullivan stepped forward. He was young for a ship captain, but his crew trusted him completely. "My ship Liberty is ready to fight, ma'am. We all are." Dr. Alex Turner shook his head. "It would be suicide. Their shields can stop any weapon we have. Our missiles would just bounce off." "So we just give up?" asked Captain Sullivan. "Let them take our world without a fight?" Before anyone could answer, Dr. Emma Watson spoke up. She was a quiet scientist who studied space around Earth. "There might be something," she said slowly. Everyone turned to look at her. "What do you mean?" asked Kate. "Their ships are built for fighting in deep space," Emma explained. "But Earth's gravity does strange things to space around our planet. I don't think their sensors can read it properly." Sam Parker, an engineer who worked with Emma, leaned forward. "You mean their technology might not work the same way here?" "Maybe," said Emma. "I need more time to study their ships. But I think they might have a weakness they don't know about." High above Earth, Admiral Kexthara walked through his ship. The corridors were filled with Zephyrian soldiers. Each one carried weapons that could level buildings. Their armor could stop any human bullet. "Admiral," called his communications officer, "we're getting signals from the planet. They're talking to each other on thousands of channels." "Let them talk," said Kexthara. Fear makes them chatter like small animals. In 3 days, it won't matter. But the Admiral was wrong about one thing. The humans weren't just talking from fear. In secret labs around the world, scientists were working harder than they had ever worked before. Dr. Tony Brooks ran his gravity research lab under the Rocky Mountains. For years, he had been trying to make artificial gravity for space mining. His work was considered boring by most people. Now it might be humanity's only hope. Emma's right, he told his team over a secure video call. These aliens think like every other advanced species we've imagined. They use energy shields and plasma weapons. But we've been doing something different. What do you mean? Asked Sam Parker from his lab in California. We've been playing with gravity itself, said Tony. While they perfected energy weapons, we learned to bend space and time. Their shields might stop energy, but what about gravity? Meanwhile, Captain Sullivan gathered his crew on the Liberty. The ship was small compared to the alien vessels, but it was built tough. Every part was made to handle the rough life of space mining and asteroid hunting. I won't lie to you, he told his crew. We're probably going to die up there, but someone has to try. Someone has to show these aliens that humans don't give up easy. His crew nodded. They were scared, but they were ready. Back on the alien flagship, Admiral Kexthara received reports from across his fleet. His ships were in perfect position. Their weapons were charged and ready. In 2 more days, if the humans refused to surrender, he would begin the attack. The Admiral had destroyed hundreds of worlds. He had faced species with weapons beyond human imagination. But he had never fought anyone like the people of Earth. He was about to learn why that mattered. Admiral Kexthara had seen enough. The humans had destroyed 23 of his ships with their crude weapons and dirty tricks. No more games. He would bring the full power of the Zephyrian Empire down on this stubborn little world. All ships, advance to attack position, he commanded. Prepare for planetary bombardment. 1,200 alien warships moved toward Earth like a storm of metal and energy. Each ship bristled with weapons that could level mountains. Together, they carried enough firepower to crack continents. On Earth, Dr. Emma Watson watched the alien fleet approach on her screens. Her hands shook as she typed commands into her computer. Around the world, other scientists were doing the same thing, all working on the same desperate plan. Tony, are your gravity generators ready? She asked through her headset. Dr. Tony Brooks was deep in his mountain laboratory, surrounded by machines that hummed with power. Ready as they'll ever be, he replied. Are you sure this will work? No, Emma said honestly. But it's the only chance we have. The plan was insane. For months, Tony had been placing gravity generators around Earth, originally for mining asteroids. Now Emma wanted to use them to turn Earth's magnetic field into a weapon. Earth's magnetic field was like a giant invisible bubble around the planet. It protected Earth from harmful radiation from the sun. But if they could change the shape of that field, they could do something else entirely. President Kate Martinez was in the bunker with her advisors, watching the battle on the big screen. Most of Earth's population had been moved to underground shelters, but millions of people were still on the surface, helping with the defense. How long until they reach firing range? She asked. General Ryan Cooper checked his instruments. 6 minutes. Emma, whatever you're going to do it now. Kate ordered. Dr. Emma Watson took a deep breath and pressed a button. Around the world, Tony's gravity generators came online. They started pulling on Earth's magnetic field, stretching it and twisting it into new shapes. The effect was invisible to human eyes, but the alien ships felt it immediately. Their exotic matter engines, which worked by manipulating space-time, started having problems. Warning lights flashed on alien bridges as their power systems became unstable. Admiral, called the science officer on Kexthara's flagship. "We're detecting massive magnetic field distortions. Our engines are losing efficiency. Compensate," ordered Kexthara. But he was starting to worry. These humans kept doing things that should be impossible. Captain Jake Sullivan was still fighting. In his damaged ship Liberty, half his weapons were gone, but he kept firing tungsten slugs at the alien fleet. Each shot was precious now, because Earth's factories couldn't make ammunition fast enough. "Jake," came Emma's voice over the radio, "get your ships away from the alien fleet, now." "Why?" Jake asked, but he was already turning his ship away from the enemy. "Because I'm about to turn the sun into a weapon," Emma replied by changing Earth's magnetic field. Emma was creating something like a giant lens in space. The magnetic field lines were bending and focusing solar radiation into a tight beam aimed at the alien fleet that it took 3 minutes for the focused sunlight to reach the Zephyrian ships. When it hit, the effect was devastating. The aliens' energy shields were designed to spread incoming energy across their entire surface. But the solar beam was too concentrated, too powerful. The first ship to get hit simply melted, its hull turning to liquid metal in seconds. Admiral Kexthara watched in horror as more of his ships were destroyed by concentrated starlight. "Evasive maneuvers," he shouted. "Get us out of that beam." But the beam wasn't stationary. As Earth rotated and the gravity generators adjusted the magnetic field, the solar weapons swept across the alien formation like a lighthouse beam of death. Dr. Tony Brooks was monitoring the gravity generators from his underground lab. The machines were working at maximum power, creating forces that twisted space itself around Earth. But they were also overheating. "Emma, I can't keep this up much longer," he radioed. "The generators are starting to fail." "Just a few more minutes," Emma replied. She was trying to target the alien flagship, but Kexthara's ship was moving too fast. Meanwhile, Sam Parker was working on a different problem. The aliens were adapting to the solar beam, using their remaining ships to create a formation that spread the focused sunlight across multiple targets. "We need something else," Sam told Emma over the radio. "Something they can't adapt to." "Like what?" Emma asked. Sam looked at his computer screen, which showed the positions of all the objects in Earth's solar system. His eyes stopped on one particular object. "Like the moon itself," he said. The idea was crazy even by human standards. Sam wanted to use the gravity generators to pull the moon out of its orbit and throw it at the alien fleet like a giant bullet. "That would destroy Earth's tides," Emma protested. "The environmental damage would be enormous." "Better than letting the aliens destroy everything," Sam replied. Before they could decide, Admiral Kexthara made the choice for them. The alien commander had finally lost his patience with human tricks. He activated his fleet's most powerful weapons, quantum disruptors. Quantum disruptors didn't just destroy matter, they unmade it, breaking the bonds between atoms and turning solid objects into empty space. When the disruptor beams hit Earth's surface, entire cities simply vanished. London disappeared in a flash of purple light. Then Tokyo, then Moscow. Millions of people died in seconds, leaving behind only empty craters where great cities once stood. In the emergency bunker, President Kate Martinez watched her world being destroyed piece by piece. Tears ran down her face, but her voice was steady when she spoke. "Do it," she told Emma and Sam. "Use whatever you have to. Stop them." Dr. Emma Watson and Sam Parker looked at each other through their video screens. They both knew what they had to do, even if it meant destroying their own planet to save what was left of humanity. "Tony," Emma called, "redirect all power to the gravity generators. We're going to move the moon." "That's impossible," Tony replied. "The moon weighs 73 quintillion tons. Our generators aren't powerful enough." "They don't have to move the whole moon," Sam explained. Just change its orbit enough to send pieces of it toward the alien fleet. By overloading the gravity generators, they could create gravitational stress cracks in the moon's surface. Chunks of lunar rock, each one the size of a mountain, would break free and accelerate toward the Zephyrian ships. The plan worked, but at a terrible cost. The gravity generators exploded one by one as they overloaded, sending shockwaves through Earth's crust. Earthquakes shook every continent as the planet's magnetic field collapsed and reformed. Captain Jake Sullivan watched from his ship as pieces of the moon flew past him toward the alien fleet. Each chunk of rock was moving at incredible speed, carrying enough kinetic energy to destroy a city. The aliens tried to shoot down the incoming moon rocks, but there were too many of them. Ship after ship was smashed to pieces by impacts that their shields couldn't stop. Admiral Kexthara's flagship was hit by a chunk of lunar material the size of a building. The impact didn't destroy the ship, but it damaged the engines and left the vessel drifting helplessly. Report, Kexthara demanded, struggling to stand on his damaged bridge. We've lost 600 ships, his tactical officer reported. The rest of the fleet is scattered and damaged. Kexthara looked at the tactical display. Half his fleet was gone, destroyed by a species that wasn't supposed to have any real weapons. The humans had turned their own moon into ammunition, and their planet's magnetic field into a death ray. But the humans had paid a price, too. Earth's surface was scarred by earthquakes and quantum disruptor strikes. The moon was breaking apart, sending debris falling toward Earth. The planet's magnetic field was unstable, letting deadly radiation through from space. Admiral, called his communications officer, the humans are transmitting a message. On the main screen, President Kate Martinez appeared. Her face was dirty and her clothes were torn, but her eyes were fierce. Admiral Kexthara, she said, you came here thinking we were weak. You thought we would surrender without a fight. You were wrong. We will destroy our own world before we let you take it. Leave now, or we will finish what we started. Kexthara stared at the human leader. In 3,000 years of conquest, no species had ever been willing to destroy their own planet to stop him. These humans were not just primitive, they were completely insane, and that made them the most dangerous enemy he had ever faced. The 72 hours passed like a bad dream. Around the world, people said goodbye to their families. Some prayed. Others just watched the sky and waited. In the emergency room under the White House, President Kate Martinez looked at the timer. On the wall, 3 minutes left. Any word from our scientists? She asked. Dr. Emma Watson was typing fast on her computer. I think I found something, but I need more time. Time's up, said General Cooper, pointing at the screen. High above Earth, Admiral Kexthara stood ready on his bridge. The human deadline had passed. No surrender message had come. Now he would show these primitives the power of the Zephyrian Empire. Target their moon base, he ordered. Fire when ready. The base on Luna was humanity's biggest settlement off Earth. 5,000 people lived and worked there, mining materials. FOR Earth space program. Admiral Kexthara chose it for his first attack because destroying it would break human spirits without killing too many people. He wanted workers, not corpses. 3 of his largest ships turned their main guns toward the moon, the weapons charged with a sound like thunder. Beams of pure plasma shot through space, hot enough to melt mountains. But something strange happened. Dr. Tony Brooks had been working on Luna Base for 6 months, setting up new gravity generators for asteroid mining. The machines were supposed to grab space rocks and pull them closer to the base. When the plasma beams hit the gravity field, space itself bent around the moon. The deadly energy beams curved like water going down a drain. Instead of hitting Luna Base, They twisted back toward the alien fleet. One beam struck a Zephyrian escort ship directly in its engine room. The alien ship's shields were designed to stop attacks from outside. They were useless against energy coming from inside their own formation. The escort ship exploded in a ball of blue fire. On the alien flagship, alarm sirens screamed. Admiral Kexthara stared at his screens in shock. One of his ships was gone, destroyed by his own weapons. What happened? He demanded. Unknown, Admiral, replied his science officer. The alien's forearms moved quickly over his controls. The energy beams were deflected by some kind of space distortion around their moon. Impossible, said Kexthara. Our sensors show no shield technology. On Earth, Dr. Emma Watson watched the explosion through her telescope. Her heart was beating fast, but not from fear. From excitement. I was right, she whispered. Then louder. I was right. She grabbed her phone and called Sam Parker. Sam, did you see that? I saw it, Sam replied. His voice was full of wonder. Their weapons can't handle gravity fields. They've never seen technology like ours. In his mountain lab, Dr. Tony Brooks was getting calls from scientists around the world. Everyone wanted to know how the gravity generators had deflected the alien weapons. It's simple, he explained to Dr. Alex Turner over a video call. Their technology is based on energy and exotic matter. Ours is based on gravity and magnetic fields. It's like they're trying to fight water with fire. President. Kate Martinez listened to the science team's quick explanation. She didn't understand all of it, but she understood enough. Can we use this against them? She asked. Maybe, said Emma. But we need to test it first. Captain Jake Sullivan was already moving. His ship Liberty was the fastest in Earth's small fleet. While the scientists talked, he was flying toward the alien formation. Liberty to Earth control, he radioed, requesting permission to engage the enemy. Jake, wait, came Admiral Hayes' voice. We don't have a plan yet. The plan is simple, Jake replied. Hit them before they figure out what happened. The Liberty was not built for war. It was a mining ship designed to break apart asteroids and haul ore back to Earth. But that meant it was built tough, with thick armor and powerful engines. More importantly, it carried railguns. Railguns were simple weapons that used magnetic fields to fire chunks of metal at incredible speeds. Most spacefaring civilizations had stopped using kinetic weapons thousands of years ago. Energy weapons were cleaner, more efficient, and easier to control, but the Zephyrians had designed their shields to stop energy weapons. Jake's first shot was a tungsten rod, the size of a baseball, fired at 1/10 the speed of light. The alien cruiser's shields didn't even try to stop it. The rod punched through the ship's hull like a bullet through paper. The cruiser's exotic matter core became unstable. Secondary explosions ripped through the ship as it broke apart. Direct hit, Jake reported. Their shields don't stop solid projectiles. On the alien flagship, Admiral Kexthara was starting to understand that he had made a terrible mistake. These humans weren't using the same technology as other species. They were doing something completely different. All ships reconfigure shields. For kinetic defense, he ordered, but it was too late. Earth's defense fleet was already moving. Admiral Lisa Hayes had commanded 12 ships. Now she was down to 11 after one was destroyed during the first alien attack on Luna Base. But the remaining ships were spreading out around Earth, each one looking for targets. Captain Sullivan's success with railguns inspired the other ships. The mining vessel Rocky Mountain fired a spread of metal slugs at an alien destroyer. The cargo hauler New York used its loading cranes to throw chunks of space debris like massive bullets. Each human ship was different, built for different jobs. But they all had one thing in common. They were designed to handle rough, physical work in space. That made them much tougher than the elegant alien warships Dr. Emma Watson was coordinating the defense from her observatory. "Jake, there's a group of 5 ships moving toward the space station. Can you intercept?" "On my way," Jake replied. The Liberty turned toward the new threat, its engines glowing bright blue. But Admiral Kexthara was learning too. He sent a message to his fleet: use quantum disruptors on the next attack. These primitives can't have defenses against quantum weapons. Dr. Tony Brooks was working frantically in his lab, trying to turn his gravity research into weapons. If the aliens adapted to kinetic attacks, humanity needed something else. "Emma," he called, "can you map Earth's magnetic field in real time?" "Why?" she asked, but her fingers were already working on her computer. "Because I think we can turn the whole planet into a weapon." Tony said Sam Parker was listening to the conversation from his lab in California. "What kind of weapon?" "The kind that uses Earth's magnetic field to focus solar radiation," Tony explained. "If we can bend the magnetic field lines, we can create a lens that concentrates sunlight into a beam." It sounded impossible. But then, again, so did deflecting alien weapons with gravity generators. High above Earth, the battle was getting worse. 3 more human ships were destroyed, but they had taken down 8 alien vessels. The Zephyrians were learning to defend against kinetic weapons, but it was costing them. Admiral Kexthara realized he was facing something he had never encountered before, a species that fought dirty. Every other civilization had developed along predictable lines. They all used similar weapons and tactics. Humans were different. They used gravity where others used force fields. They threw rocks where others fired energy beams. They turned mining equipment into weapons and made their whole planet into a fortress. "Admiral," reported his tactical officer, "the humans are evacuating their orbital platforms." Kexthara nodded. "They're preparing for a major attack. All ships prepare for final assault on the planet." But the humans weren't just evacuating. They were loading the platforms with every piece of metal they could find. Cargo containers, construction materials, even old satellites were being accelerated toward the alien fleet using gravity slings. Captain Sullivan watched the improvised bombardment from his damaged ship. Half his crew was dead, but the Liberty was still fighting. "This is just the beginning," he told his remaining crew members. "These aliens think they know how war works. Time to show them they're wrong." Admiral Kexthara stared at the broken Earth below him. Half his fleet was destroyed, and the planet was dying from their battle. But the humans were still fighting, still sending ships to attack his remaining vessels, still refusing to surrender. He had never seen anything like it. "Admiral," his science officer reported, "we're detecting massive energy readings from the planet's core. The humans are doing something to their own world, deep beneath Earth's surface." Dr. Alex Turner was working in an underground laboratory that had somehow survived the quantum attacks. Around him, the last group of human scientists worked on humanity's final weapon. "The calculations are complete," Alex told Dr. Emma Watson over a crackling radio connection. "If we destabilize Earth's core, we can turn the entire planet into a gravitational bomb." Emma's voice came back weak and full of static. Her observatory had been destroyed, and she was now working from a damaged shelter. "How long do we have?" "Once we start the process, maybe 6 hours before the planet collapses into a black hole," Alex replied. "But the gravitational waves will start immediately. Anything within 1,000,000 miles will be torn apart." President Kate Martinez listened to the conversation from her ruined command center. Most of her advisors were dead, killed when quantum disruptors hit Washington, D.C., but she was still alive, still in command of what remained of humanity. "Will our people have time to escape?" she asked. "Some of them," Alex said honestly. "We've got transport ships heading to Mars and the asteroid belt. But most of the population. He didn't finish the sentence. Kate closed her eyes. She was about to order the death of her own world to save humanity from slavery. "Do it," she whispered dot above Earth. Captain Jake Sullivan was leading the last. 6 ships of humanity's defense fleet in a desperate attack on Admiral Kexthara's flagship. The Liberty was barely holding together, but Jake's crew kept fighting. "Captain," called his weapons officer, "we're down to our last railgun rounds." "Make them count," Jake replied. He aimed his ship at the alien flagship's bridge and fired. Tungsten slug punched through the ship's weakened shields and hit the command section. Alarms screamed as the alien bridge lost power. Admiral Kexthara was thrown to the floor as his ship shook from the impact. When he stood up, half his control panels were dead and sparks were flying from damaged systems. "Damage report?" he ordered. "Main engines offline," reported his engineer. "Weapons at 50%. Life support failing on decks 12 through 15. The Admiral looked at his tactical display. His mighty fleet was reduced to 400 ships, most of them damaged. And the humans were still fighting, even as their world died beneath them. On Mars, millions of human refugees watched the battle through telescopes and radio transmissions. They had escaped Earth just in time, carrying what they could in cargo ships and mining vessels. Now they could only watch as their home planet prepared to become a weapon that Dr. Tony Brooks was with the refugees. His gravity research equipment loaded onto one of the transport ships. He was monitoring the gravitational readings from Earth as Alex Turner's team worked to destabilize the planet's core. "It's working," he reported to the other scientists. "Earth's core is starting to collapse. Gravitational waves are building." Sam Parker was on a different ship, coordinating the evacuation of Earth's orbital stations. Most of the stations had been destroyed in the fighting, but a few survived, and they were full of people who needed rescue. "How much time do we have?" Sam asked. 4 hours, maybe less," Tony replied. "After that, Earth becomes a black hole, and everything in the solar system gets pulled in." The first gravitational wave hit Admiral Kexthara's fleet 30 minutes later. It was weak, barely detectable, but it was just the beginning. The alien ship's instruments went crazy as space itself started to bend and twist around the dying planet. "Admiral," called his science officer, "we need to leave immediately. The gravitational distortions are increasing exponentially." Kexthara looked at the tactical display one more time. 400 ships left from the greatest fleet in galactic history, destroyed by primitives who would rather kill their own world than submit to conquest. "All ships," he ordered, "prepare for emergency jump to hyperspace." But it was too late. The gravitational waves were already too strong for his ships to escape. Hyperspace required precise calculations, and the bending of space-time around Earth made those calculations impossible. Captain Jake Sullivan felt the gravitational wave hit his ship like a giant invisible hand. The Liberty groaned and twisted as forces beyond imagination pulled at its hull. But the tough little mining ship held together. "Jake," came Emma's voice over the radio, "you need to get out of there. The next wave will be stronger." "Not yet," Jake replied. "I'm going to ram the alien flagship." Emma's voice was desperate. "Jake, you don't have to do this. We've already won. They can't escape." "Someone has to make sure," Jake said. He turned the Liberty toward Admiral Kexthara's damaged ship and pushed his engines to maximum power. The Liberty was never designed for ramming attacks, but its thick mining armor made it perfect for the job. The ship slammed into the alien flagship's side, punching through the hull and destroying the engine room. Both ships began falling toward Earth, caught in the planet's growing gravitational field. Admiral Kexthara pulled himself up from the deck of his dying ship. Through the broken viewports, he could see Earth below. The planet was glowing with strange energy as its core collapsed. Massive cracks were appearing on the surface, and chunks of the crust were falling inward. "Abandon ship," he ordered his crew. "All hands to escape pods." But the escape pods couldn't fight Earth's gravity either. One by one, they were pulled down toward the dying planet. Dr. Alex Turner was still in his underground laboratory, monitoring the collapse of Earth's core. The gravitational bomb was working perfectly. In 3 more hours, Earth would become a black hole with enough power to destroy every alien ship in the solar system. "Alex," came Tony's voice from Mars, "you need to evacuate. There are still ships that can reach you." "No time," Alex replied. The laboratory shook as another gravitational wave passed through the planet. "Someone needs to monitor the process. Make sure it completes properly." Alex knew he was going to die, but his sacrifice would ensure that the gravitational weapon worked correctly. Earth would become humanity's final gift to the galaxy, proof that some species could never be conquered. On Mars, the human refugees watched as the second major gravitational wave swept through the solar system. This one was strong enough to crack asteroids and bend the orbits of the outer planets. Admiral Kexthara's remaining ships were caught in the wave like leaves in a hurricane. Their hulls twisted and bent as space itself became a weapon against them. One by one, the proud vessels of the Zephyrian Empire were torn apart by forces they had never imagined. Captain Jake Sullivan was trapped in his ship as it fell toward Earth. The Liberty's hull was cracked and life support was failing. But through his broken viewports, he could see Admiral Kexthara's flagship falling beside him. Jake activated his ship's emergency beacon. "This is Captain Sullivan of the Earth Defense Ship Liberty. If anyone is listening, we did it. We stopped them. Remember what happened here? Remember that humans don't give up." The 2 ships hit Earth's atmosphere together, alien and human metal burning side by side. As they fell toward the collapsing planet, Admiral Kexthara watched his life's work die around him. 3,000 years of conquest ended by a species that chose destruction over slavery. His ships were gone, his crew was dead, and his empire would never recover from this defeat. As his flagship burned in Earth's atmosphere, the alien admiral felt something he had never experienced before: respect for his enemy. These humans were insane, primitive, and completely impossible to understand. But they had fought harder than any species in the galaxy. They had turned their own world into a weapon rather than accept defeat. The Zephyrian Empire would remember this lesson forever. Dr. Alex Turner felt the laboratory shake around him as Earth's core reached critical collapse. Through his instruments, he could see the planet's center turning into something that had never existed before: an artificial black hole. The gravitational waves were now strong enough to tear apart mountains. Above ground, the planet's surface was breaking into pieces that spiraled inward toward the new singularity. Earth was eating itself, and the energy released was beyond imagination. Gravitational cascade at 90%, Alex reported into his radio. He didn't know if anyone could still hear him. Estimated time to completion, 47 minutes. On Mars, Dr. Tony Brooks received the transmission through heavy static. Around him, 6 million human refugees watched their home planet die on viewing screens. Many were crying. Others just stared in silence. "He did it," Tony whispered. Alex actually did it. The third gravitational wave hit Admiral Kexthara's fleet like the hand of an angry god. Space itself twisted into impossible shapes. Alien ships that had survived the destruction of galaxies were torn apart like paper dolls. The wave reached out, beyond Earth's orbit, catching the few alien vessels that had tried to escape. Their exotic matter hulls, designed to withstand the pressures at galactic cores, simply came apart as the fundamental forces of reality went insane around the dying planet. Captain Jake Sullivan's ship hit Earth's surface in a ball of fire. The Liberty's thick armor let it survive the impact, but barely. Jake crawled from the wreckage, his body broken, but his spirit undefeated. Through the smoke, he could see Admiral Kexthara's flagship burning nearby. The alien ship had hit the ground half a mile away, its crystal hull shattered and its crew dead or dying. Jake started walking toward the crash site. Each step hurt, but he needed to see the end with his own eyes. Admiral Kexthara pulled himself from his ruined command chair. His forearms were broken, and blue blood ran from cuts on his scaled face. But he was alive, one of the few survivors from his mighty fleet. He stumbled through the wreckage of his ship, past the bodies of his crew, until he reached a hole in the hull. Outside, he could see the impossible sight of Earth destroying itself. Planet's surface was falling inward, creating a whirlpool of rock and metal that spiraled down toward the new black hole. Lightning danced between the floating chunks of continent. The very air glowed with gravitational energy. Admiral Kexthara turned to see a human walking toward him through the devastation. The man was injured and bleeding, but he kept coming. In his hand, he carried a simple kinetic pistol. "Captain Jake Sullivan, Earth Defense Force," the human said. "I wanted to meet you before the end." Admiral Kexthara looked at this small, primitive creature who had helped destroy the greatest fleet in galactic history. "Why?" he asked. Jake stopped a few feet away. Around them, the world was ending in slow motion as chunks of the planet fell into the artificial black hole. "Because I wanted you to understand something before you die." "What?" asked the alien admiral. "Humans don't surrender," Jake said simply. "Ever. No matter what you threaten us with, no matter how powerful you are, we will find a way to fight, even if it means destroying ourselves." Kexthara nodded slowly. He understood now why his empire had failed here. "Your species is insane," he said. "Maybe," Jake agreed, "but we're free." The final gravitational wave began building in Earth's core. Dr. Alex Turner, still alive in his deep bunker, watched the readings climb past the point of no return. The artificial black hole was now stable and growing, feeding on the planet's mass. "This is Dr. Turner," he broadcast on all frequencies. "Earth core collapse complete. Gravitational weapon is now active. Anyone receiving this message, remember what happened here. Remember that humanity chose freedom over slavery." The wave erupted from Earth's center with the force of a dying star. It raced outward at the speed of light, carrying enough gravitational energy to twist space-time into knots. The few remaining alien ships, scattered across the solar system, were caught in the wave and simply ceased to exist. Their matter was torn apart at the quantum level and scattered across space. On Mars, the human refugees felt the wave pass through their planet like a ghost. The effect was weaker at this distance, but still strong enough to shake buildings and crack the ground. "It's over," Dr. Tony Brooks announced. "The alien fleet is completely destroyed." But victory came with a terrible price. Earth was gone, transformed into a black hole that would exist for billions of years. The planet that gave birth to humanity was now a gravitational monument to their refusal to surrender. Captain Jake Sullivan and Admiral Kexthara stood together in the final moments as Earth's surface fell away beneath their feet. The ground they stood on was one of the last pieces of solid matter before everything was pulled into the black hole. "I have one question," Kexthara said. "What?" Jake asked. "Was it worth it, destroying your own world to stop us?" Jake looked around at the dying planet, then up at the stars where he knew his people were building new homes on Mars and the asteroid colonies. "Yes," he said, "it was worth it." The ground fell away, and both warriors were pulled into the gravitational maelstrom that had once been Earth. 3 days later, ships from the Zephyrian Empire arrived at the edge of the solar system. They had come to investigate the loss of Admiral Kexthara's fleet. What they found shocked them to their core. Where Earth had been, there was now a stable black hole, surrounded by the twisted wreckage of 1,200 warships. The planet was gone, and with it, the most powerful fleet the galaxy had ever seen. The investigation team's leader, Admiral Vexenorth, studied the readings in disbelief. "They destroyed their own world," he reported back to the Empire. "The humans turned their planet into a weapon rather than surrender." The news spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Species that had been conquered by the Zephyrian Empire began to ask questions they had never dared ask before. If primitive humans could defeat the Empire's greatest fleet, what else was possible? On Mars, President Kate Martinez stood before the assembled human survivors. 6 million people, all that remained of Earth's billions, looked to her for guidance. "We have lost our home," she said, "but we have kept our freedom. Earth is gone, but humanity lives on. We will build new worlds, new cities, new lives among the stars, and we will never forget the price of liberty." General Ryan Cooper, now serving as humanity's military commander, stood beside her. "The alien empire has sent us a message," he announced. "They want to negotiate." A murmur went through the crowd. After everything that had happened, the aliens wanted to talk? "What do they want?" someone called out. Kate smiled grimly. "Peace," she said. "They're offering us full membership in their galactic community, equal status with all other species. And they want to guarantee that no one will ever attack humanity again." Dr. Emma Watson, working from her new laboratory on Mars, had been monitoring alien communications. "They're scared," she reported. "News of what we did has spread across the galaxy. Other species are starting to rebel against the Empire." The Zephyrian Empire had ruled the galaxy for 3,000 years through fear and overwhelming force. But humanity had proven that force could be defeated by determination and sacrifice. The Empire's foundation was cracking. 6 months later, Admiral Vexenorth arrived at Mars aboard a diplomatic vessel. The alien leader was smaller than Admiral Kexthara had been, with silver scales instead of blue ones. But his message was the same. The Zephyrian Empire formally recognizes humanity as a sovereign species, he announced. "We offer full membership in the Galactic Council, with all the rights and protections that entails." President Kate Martinez listened to the translation, then looked out at the black hole that had once been Earth. It was visible in Mars' sky as a dark spot that bent starlight around it. "We accept," she said, "but with conditions." "What conditions?" asked Admiral Vexeno R. A.T.H. Kate, pointed at the gravitational anomaly. "That stays as it is forever. It's our memorial to the people who died for freedom. And it's our warning to anyone who thinks humans can be conquered." The alien admiral nodded. "Agreed. The Earth Memorial will be protected by galactic law." Dr. Tony Brooks, now the head of humanity's new gravitational research program, worked with scientists from across the galaxy. The technology that had destroyed Earth was now being used to build new worlds and defend free species everywhere. But the greatest change was in how the galaxy saw itself. The Zephyrian Empire still existed, but it no longer conquered through force. The example of humanity's sacrifice had inspired revolution after revolution. Species that had been slaves for thousands of years were now free. Captain Jake Sullivan was declared a hero of humanity, along with Dr. Alex Turner and all the others who had died defending Earth. Their names were carved into monuments on every human world, but the greatest monument was the black hole itself. Visible from anywhere in the solar system, it served as a permanent reminder of what humans would do when their freedom was threatened. The galaxy had learned a hard lesson. Some species could not be conquered, no matter how primitive they seemed. Humanity's fleet had been small, and their technology simple, but their fury had proven more devastating than any weapon the galaxy had ever seen. Earth was gone, but its legacy lived on in the stars. Humanity was free, and they would never be. Slaves again,